On July 7th, 1856, 17 gentlemen gathered in the home of one of the gentlemen and decided that there were enough Jews in the city at that time that a synagogue congregation should be formed. And so that is really how Holy Blossom, it wasn't Holy Blossom at that time, but how the congregation came to be.
These gentlemen were British, and they were Orthodox, strictly Orthodox. And the Brits were really the only Jews in Toronto at the time. We're talking 1840s, 1850s. It's not until really the 1880s that you get large numbers of East European Jews coming to Toronto. Our early rabbis, and we get our first rabbi in the 1890s really, are from Jews College, London, England. And they're unique in Toronto in that they speak English as their first language. Most of the rabbis in town are Yiddish speaking, preach in Yiddish, and Holy Blossom is unique in that their rabbi speaks English and it's his first language. He dies in 1920, and then by that time we're ready to look south for the first time for our rabbinic leadership. There really are very few, if any, other synagogues or churches even built on this continent in the 1930s. This is the height of the Depression. Rabbi Eisendrath, who is our rabbi, becomes rabbi in 1929, as soon as he arrives in 1929, he's calling for a new building, for there's not enough room. There were in the congregation some people in the movie industry, and they were doing quite well because people went to the movies. That was a form of entertainment that they could afford in the 1930s. And they were very generous. He managed to convince them that they should put some of their money into this new synagogue, and a couple of years later, we could dedicate this building.
About 200 years ago in Germany, Jews were offered citizenship, and then we had a choice about whether we accept the invitation to join the wider world or to build the ghetto walls even higher so that we could maintain Jewish life within without any change or evolution. And the response of some was to accept the invitation, and the Reform movement was born. Reform Judaism was born. So that meant, for example, synagogues adopted some of the style of worship of Protestant churches of the age.
Jews wanted to be more up-to-date and revitalize and renew the old stale tradition of Judaism. So the Reform movement developed in such a way that it became much more liberal.
I have the unique privilege of being a fourth-generation Reform rabbi. It is a privilege for me to be a rabbi, to carry the title of rabbi, and it has always been a privilege for me to serve this congregation as one of its rabbis. Some people come to Holy Blossom Temple from very far because we are a magnet for young family programming. We're a magnet for excellent adult education, where experts, leading voices come from all over the world to teach here. There's a sense that Holy Blossom Temple can be a spiritual home for seekers. When you ask about faith and worship and you see, even if people can't articulate what it is that is drawing them into our prayer spaces, they know that there is a living spirit here that they can tap into in order to see their own neshama better, to see their own spiritual side better, and to be able to articulate what Jewish spirituality is for them today.
Before they put in the windows, even when I was growing up, most of the windows were just simply glass, colored glass. They were not depicting anything. And they had funds to raise money to put in the windows. One of our members is doing business in New York, and he is sent to see this is during the war in the 1940s.
Early 1940s.
He's sent to see an Emigre painter living in New York from Europe, who's from the same shtetl as he is, same town in Russia. They said, go see him and ask him what he would like to design a set of windows for our new sanctuary. So he goes, and he comes back, and apparently he was given an upper limit of what we could afford to pay someone to design, not execute, simply design the windows. And the artist wanted more than we were prepared to pay him. We should have paid him anything he wanted. We should have mortgaged the building in order to pay this artist, because his name was Marc Chagall. And we could have had the Chagall windows in our building, and we would be, a tourist site.
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah.
So this year we tried something new for Shavuot. Because Ramadan this year fell at the same time, and Ramadan is also the time of when Muslims celebrate the receiving of their law, of their sacred scriptures, we invited some Muslim guests to come and be with us. They observed our service, we observed their service.
I engaged a lot of interfaith dialogue meetings. To me, it is so important to be part of, the community we live, especially in Canadian society, quite diverse and pluralistic and multicultural society. What we are missing is dialogue, and today I came here, and I'm so honored and humbled, and it's a great pleasure for me to be here to share some of my knowledge with the community, this beautiful community, very prestigious society in Canada. And we are cousin faiths as Islam and Judaism, and I'm so honored also to be here. And it's both very meaningful for both of us.
We studied together. We learned from an imam and from one of our rabbis about how we receive scripture and how we interpret it.
Because we are Reform, we are open, we are liberal, we have much more connection with the interfaith community. And I myself have participated many times in interfaith faith, talking about faith, which you call emunah in Hebrew, of interfaith activity. It's important for us to reach out to non-Jews and spread our word and our philosophy and our Torah. It says, Ki mitzion tetet Torah, from Zion shall go forth Torah, Devar Adonai, and the word of the Lord from Jerusalem. And that's been my motto from childhood.
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. La ilaha illallah.
That invitation was so special for me. Dialogue, sincere dialogue, engage each other, be part of the community, just go out of your comfort zone and, meet the people, share the experience, share the atmosphere, and be part of their holiday, be part of their feelings and feel it and support it. And then you will get also support. Like tonight, we are sharing our experiences and our spiritual month, spiritual retreat for us, Ramadan. So it is basically, as I said, dialogue, to engage and create a harmony. The more you be part of the community with dialogue, you become, more closer to each other.
Sim shalom etova v'racha. It's a prayer for peace. Aleinu v'ale kol amo Yisrael. Sim shalom tova v'racha. Interfaith activity probably brings more potential for peace and harmony in the world when one people understand each other instead of being afraid.
Judaism must speak to the moment, that Judaism must be ever relevant. So whether it was the civil rights movement and inviting Dr. Martin Luther King to speak here at Holy Blossom Temple and financially supporting his work south of the border, or today where some of our families are sponsoring Syrian refugees, both Muslim and Yazidi families, and helping to settle them and integrate them into Canadian life. I would say that's also important to know about the spirit of Reform Judaism. At Holy Blossom Temple, we don't ask anyone here to declare their faith. We have a lot of seekers, a lot of people who are good at asking questions, which is the Jewish way. There is opportunity to explore one's faith, to question, and to take inspiration and find our own way to faith.